Sports! Yeah. We pick a random industry and a platform to develop ideas and fresh designs. There are no limits except the ones we place on ourselves. Welcome to Volume 1. Let's go. Let's talk about pro bending. Yes, I know. Pro bending is a fictional fantasy sport based around magic. So we can't really recreate it in real life. The only medium we can come close to experiencing what it would remotely feel like to be a pro bender is through video games. And you can play it already, it's out on the PS4, but for this challenge I had to think of something different. Growing up, I was a massive fan of Pokemon. They were one of the most accessible role-playing games for young kids. I grew up on the third generation games of Ruby and Sapphire. In my opinion, the perfect marriage of gameplay and art design, built on hardware that optimized every aspect of the game. It's pixel art at its finest, and it came out a decade ago. I recently had a go of Moonlighter, which is a modern dungeon crawler, using pixel art as a style. While Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire's art was a result of its hardware limitations, Moonlighter deliberately uses pixel art to evoke a certain nostalgia to great effect. Pixel art is beautiful and really paints a retro tone when executed well. I referenced some games and filed them away. I'm attached to Pokemon, so I used it as a base, but also paid attention to how modern games pulled off pixel art. After rummaging around online, I found this cool browser-based software called Pixel Art. I began with some basic assets like trees, grass, and flowers, and it was fascinating to see all the different elements working together to bring the environment to life. Okay, let's talk about pro bending for a second. As a concept, it just slaps. I think the creators of the show did very elegant world building here. Martial arts in the real world trains the body into a weapon. But nowadays, most are considered performance art or even a sport. So it's quite fitting that pro bending exists in the Legend of Korra, which is set in a time of peace, and has become a sport with rules and regulations. But I think we can all agree though that the real champ is tough. She's just a badass. So coming back to the illustration, the battle screen required both the protagonist and an antagonist to take center stage. I referenced a firebending pose and gave it to our antagonist. And I referenced a waterbending pose and gave it to our protagonist. In the process of illustrating the screens, I discovered that pixel art rewarded both patience and sloppiness. The artworks are low-res by nature, sure, but there was a lot of depth you could pull off if you knew where to place the right pixel. I filled in some stats and elements typical of a turn-based battle sequence, and the end result, surprisingly, wasn't a disaster.
So I'd like to start by saying that I'm glad that Tahir went outside of the traditional stuff and chose pro bending. Pro bending was a fresh topic to choose actually. The best part, my favorite part about this whole challenge was seeing the illustrations and the process and how Tahir managed to create a pixel version by studying the fighting forms and the uniform. I still can't believe you illustrated them. You nailed the illustration style. So when I first saw this, I thought it was an actual game, which is why I was like taken aback when you actually showed me the illustration process. And I thought was pretty sweet. I would definitely play this game for sure because I'm an Avatar fan. Other than that, just this guy, the illustration seems a little weird. Maybe his neck is a little too long for me, but yeah, the other guy looks pretty cool with the fire. The only other nitpick would be that what Tahir has created is actually a game, but not really a sport. Part of me definitely thought that he would just use Midjourney and churn something out, but I'm glad he did.